in just few minutes because we're waiting for Shrestha. She had some problem in her device. So thank you for your patience. We'll be starting within few minutes in a while. Shrestha, are you there? Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hello? Shrestha, are you
Yes.
there?
Yes. Now I'm able to listen to you as well.
Okay, great. I think thank you everyone for your patience. I guess we should start now. Uh, so let me start. So, hello everyone, and to all of you, thank you for your patience, first of all, and thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Swastika Timsina. I work at KrispCall as a growth marketing manager, and I'll be hosting today's session. So, today we're going to talk about something a lot of businesses deal with every day without even thinking about it, which is the phone system and how disconnected it usually is from everything else in the workflow. So we're calling this session, basically the title of this session is how to build automated phone workflows for your business apps. This is a joint session between KrispCall and Pabbly Connect. So in this session, we'll walk you through what phone automation actually looks like in practice and where disconnected systems usually slow teams down and how KrispCall and Pabbly Connect come together to fix that with real and no code workflows so you can actually set everything yourself. And we'll leave plenty of time for your questions as well. Our speakers will answer all your questions, so be ready with your questions. And here I'm joined by two great speakers. First, we have Shrestha Upadhyay. She's a content marketing lead at Pabbly Connect. Shrestha, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much, Swastika, for the warm welcome.
And we have Rutuza Zambuale. She is account manager at KrispCall. Rutuza, a very warm welcome to you as well.
Thank you so much, Swastika, for the welcome and for a great introduction. Hi, everyone. I'm Rutujan, account manager at Call. It's great to be here, and I'm looking forward to sharing some insight with you today. Looking forward for the great conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Rutuza and Shrestha. So, before we dive in, if any questions come to your mind while we are talking, you can feel free to drop them in the chat box, and we will be pulling from those for live Q&A at the end of this session. Okay, so let's get into it, and we'll start from the very beginning for anyone who is hearing about phone automation for the first time. So, I would like to begin with Shrestha. So, what does phone automation actually mean in business workflow, and where does Pabbly Connect fit into that picture?
Okay, so when we start and when we introduce phone automation, so earlier while we used to call to someone, when we used to call or we had a call in a conversation with anyone, whether it is a lead or a customer, we just had the conversation in our mind and we say it using words, and whatever we have spoken on that call, whatever we have heard, just all those words were just in our minds and kept until we forget. Okay, so phone automation essentially means connecting the conversations happening on your phone system with other business processes that happen around them. So for example, when a customer calls you, you may want to automatically capture the information in your CRM. You want to notify your team member, the correct team, okay, about whatever discussion you had on your call. For example, your sales representative, you can create a follow-up task, send an email or SMS, or even you can update a spreadsheet. So without automation, someone has to manually perform all these steps by keeping all the conversations remember in their mind, and in their mind. And here where phone automation comes in, as well as Pabbly Connect fits perfectly over here. So Pabbly Connect acts as the automation layer between KrispCall and the other applications a businesses use. So instead of thinking of the phone system as a standalone tool, a business can make phone activity part of their complete workflow as well. So a phone call can become the trigger for multiple other automated actions as well. For example, follow up actions, follow up tasks, support ticket creation, notifying the team, correct team, creating a task specifically on CRM, updating everything that we have everything that we have received as a data from phone telephonic conversation. We can use this as forward.
Great, and that's a really great way to frame it. And the phone system becoming part of the bigger workflow instead of sitting on its own. So that's what I really liked. Um, so I would like to come to you, Rutuza, here from Chris Call's perspective. Why would businesses even bother connecting and automating their phone system with the apps and tools they're already using every day?
Thank you so much for the question, Swastika. So I think the main reason is that communication shouldn't sit separately from the rest of the business workflow. A customer call may have involved sales support and compliance and the different departments. So if teams have to manually move that information between the different tools, it takes time and create a room for things to be missed, right? So with a crisp call, business can manage calls, SMS, and recording and the transcriptions. And though public can connect that activity with the other tools they already use. So the value is really about reducing a manual work and making communication the part of overall process. So for example, when the new customer interaction happen through crisp call, that information can trigger a workflow in another application. It could help update CRM records and notify a team member. So start another business process automatically. So it's like communication should not work as a separate activity. It should be a connected and overall business flow. Yeah.
So we can say that the key message from everything that you have said is about communication should not work as separate activity, but it should be connected with the overall business workflow. So teams can take faster and we can say more informed actions, right? Like,
Yes.
if that's the message. I would like to move forward and let's dig a little deeper into the problem before we talk about the solution. So, again, coming back to you, Shrestha, what typically breaks or let's say disconnects when a business phone system is not integrated with the rest of their workflow automation?
Okay, if we talk about problem, so the biggest problem is the phone system became an isolated source of information. We just had a call, and whatever we have talked on that conversation is just in our mind, and now we have to manually go and update every team, update every system manually. Okay, so the biggest problem is isolated source of information. A customer might have a conversation with a sales representative, but the details of that interaction may not automatically reach the CRM or the actual place where we have to send that information to. A support team may receive a call, but the follow-up task may never get created. Even marketing may have customer information in one application while the communication history sits somewhere else. So the problem isn't necessarily the phone system only, but the problem is the gap between the phone conversation that we had with a user or with a customer and the business processes that need to be happened after that call ended. So with automation, the gap can be removed. The phone interaction can automatically trigger further actions, next actions to be performed going forward in the other applications of the businesses that we are using. And the work application can systematically update the data that we have, and this all process could be automated rather than sitting and manually typing or updating everything manually.
Okay, so that gap between the conversation and what happens after it, I think a lot of people in the audience is going to recognize that. So I would like to come back to you, Rutuza, for the CrispCall side, CrispCall's perspective. So when teams are manually moving call data between different apps, where do you usually see delays or, let's say, duplicate work and missed follow-ups creeping in?
So thank you so much for the question, Swastika. I'll go brief in this way. So the biggest issue is the amount of repetitive work happening around every call. So for example, if salesperson finishes a call and starting updating a CRM, but another calls come in, so they have to stop and attend the call and later come back to the previous update. So that's where the delay can happen and CRM update can be missed. So the same applies for the support where the document customer conversation or similarly for the compliance where team can handle verification and career related information. So automation can reduce the dependency on manual updates and keep the process moving. So it's less about replacing the person, it's more about removing unnecessary work around the person. So sometimes the problem isn't that the customer didn't communicate with us, the information simply didn't reach to the right team internally. So when agents and team have enough information about previous interaction, they can understand the situation faster and take the next step more effectively. And instead of starting from zero, the next person can continue the conversation with the proper context. So that's the answer.
Yeah, so it means that automation helps team reduce repetitive work, and we can say that it also helps improve information sharing, right? And I like it when you say about what you said about right information reaching the right person at the right time. So let's flip it around and talk about what changes when things are connected. So Shrestha, what actually changes for a business when its phone system when phone system becomes part of connected automated ecosystem?
Okay, so the biggest change that I would talk about is the business starts treating every phone interaction as an actionable business event or as an asset. For example, a call doesn't have to end with a conversation, it can automatically trigger a CRM update, a notification to the right team member at the same time, a follow up task created for the further updates, or another workflow could also be triggered for the further steps to be followed according to the business requirements. This creates a connected customer journey. So you do not have to each time go and check your spreadsheet. You do not have to go and each time go towards your team and ask update them about the conversation that you just had. But totally, you can connect more customers. You can understand more users' inquiries, their requirements, and accordingly once you are done with it, the follow-up tasks are created, and as soon as the call is ended, automation starts, and every step that you have decided is going to perform automatically. So this is the biggest change.
Yeah, that's great. So I think we should be specific for a second now. Let's see, marketing, sales, and support are the teams where phone activity really shows up the most, right? So I would like to bring you, Rutuza, here. How does automation benefit teams across these three departments specifically?
So the benefit is different for the each team, as you did mention. So let's say talk about the marketing. So use marketing can use communication activity to understand customer engagement. For example, bulk SMS can help businesses reach customers at scale for updates. Let's say for the festive promotions, reminders, or important notification while maintaining a structured communication process. And similarly, for the sales, can reduce the repetitive work around lead updates, follow-ups, and CRM CRM activities. So when communication data is captured properly and sales representative can spend more time focusing on the conversation and building some relationship instead of spending excessive time on the manual updates. So similarly for the support can use a recording and transcription to quickly understand customer conversation without relying only on manual notes. And the same communication data can like support for the account management and the operational team as well. So automation really helps the different teams use the same customer communication more effectively instead of each team working in isolation. So it's briefly like for the all of the teams, don't turn into the feature list. Connect each feature to a business benefits. So this is the answer.
So it's about like different department gets different value from the same customer communication data, but we can say that the overall goal is like basically a better productivity and better customer experience, right?
Yes.
So I would like to come back to you, Rutuza, again. As an AI powered communication platform, what possibilities does KrispCall open up around phone automation for businesses using Pabbly Connect?
So this is where I think the combination becomes really useful. CrispCall provides the communication layer like calls, SMS recording, and AI transcription, and many more features. The important part is that today business conversation contain a lots of valuable information. A customer call is just not a conversation; it can be includes the customer requirements, sales opportunity, upsell opportunities, and also the important business details. So with features like transcription and the summaries, CrispCall helps convert those conversation into a structured and useful information instead of leaving them as only as the call record. So then Pabbly Connect can help smooth that information into a different application a business already uses and trigger the next action. So for example, a new contact an SMS voicemail has been created, and CrispCall can start workflow that updates another application, send a notification, and create a follow-up task for the business process. So I would describe the flow is very simple. Or first communicate, capture, understand, automate, and act accordingly. So that makes the communication more useful across the businesses. And for example, also I would like to brief a customer interaction happened in a crisp call. Secondly, go to the information is captured, and then Pabbly Connect can act as an action in another application. The relevant team can follow up and takes the next step.
Yeah, I really like how you framed it here. So, I would like to bring you, Shrestha, here. On the flip side, how does like what does Pabbly Connect as the automation platform bring to businesses that are using CruiseCall as their communication layer?
Okay, so the best thing Pabbly Connect is bringing here in the part of automation is flexibility. Businesses don't have to completely change the way they work or replace the applications they are using in order to use Pabbly Connect or to set up the automations. But instead, what they can do, just connect Crisp Call with all the business applications or the work applications they are currently using or increasing their productivity with the help of it. So they can just bring all the applications together. They can connect CrispCall as well with the help of Pabbly Connect to each of the application, and then further their automation builds perfectly. So the idea is to build automation around an event. For example, whenever a phone activity is made, for example, a call is ended along with the conversation. So Pabbly Connect comes in. It's going to connect CrispCall with the CRM. So all the data that is captured through that conversation is added to your CRM. The notification about the same is sent to the correct team, and also a follow-up task is created in some other application or in some other workflow even, and the workflow can continue with additional steps as well as further actions whatever the business wants to perform depending on the business requirements. Because Pabbly Connect supports a wide range of applications and workflow actions, businesses can build automations around their existing processes, their requirements, rather than forcing their processes to fit a particular another system or to use any other separate application for it. So existing applications, for example Google Sheets, for example Google Chat, all work organizational applications which currently the businesses are using, they can connect very easily with crisp call. So here comes with flexibility.
Okay, so that is very insightful. I hope it's the same for the audiences as well. So let's get practical here. A lot of our audiences might be wondering how do one can actually set this up. So I would like to ask Rutuza to walk us through it. How can businesses set up Pabbly Connect integration inside KrispCall, and what can they automate once it's connected?
Okay, so the setup is quite straightforward. So from KrispCall Business, go to the settings and integrations and connect the Pabbly Connect integration. So then in Pabbly, they create a workflow and select a KrispCall as a trigger. The available trigger includes a contact, new contact, new voicemail, and the new SMS. So they can choose another application and define what should happen next. For example, a new contact in KrispCall could trigger an email or another action in connected application. So they can add multiple actions to one workflow. So essentially, something happened in crisp call, then Pabbly pick it up, and the next action happen automatically. So Pabbly Connect act as a bridge between the crisp call and wide range of business application. Since business are different tools, business are using different tools across the department. This connection helps them bring their communication workflow together without needing a custom development for every application. So the advantage of using a Public Connect in is the businesses are not limited to only the one system. They can connect Crisp Call with the application they are already used and create a workflow that matches their business process.
Yeah, so summarizing what Rutuja has said, it's more about like Criscall captures the communication activity and Public connects it with other business application, and automation helps team complete the next action faster, right? So it's not a very tough job that we need a third person for it, but even if you need one, our sales and support teams are always there. We have a 24/7 support team for always for your service, so you can always contact them in need. So let's bring in Shrestha here from the Pabbly side. How can businesses create and activate a no-code automation workflow with KruseCall inside Pabbly Connect?
So it's actually very, very easy. First, we just have to select the applications that we want to connect. Okay. So when we start creating a workflow in Pabbly Connect, now we also do not have to select applications manually. We can just write a single line prompt that I want to connect these applications, and they get connected with each other, and the workflow is created. So basically, we just have to select the application and the event that should start the workflow. Then they connect Crisp Call account. So we basically, after connecting the applications with each other, we have to build the connections. For example, KrispCall, so we have to connect KrispCall with Pabbly Connect by providing some configurations and basic settings, and as soon as the particular event that we have selected is going to happen, the automation will start.
Okay, great. So again, that is very simple, right? So I think audiences already got the idea of how exactly it works. So now this is probably the part everyone has been waiting for, and let's make this real. So again, I would like to ask this to you, Sresta. Can you share a few practical workflows for our audiences today, especially for people working in marketing, sales, and customer support?
Sure, I would love to. So, if we'll talk about some workflows that could really help different departments using Pabbly Connect and KrispCall. So for first workflow, I'm going to, there are multiple possibilities. First workflow I will be sharing for sales lead follow up team. So, suppose a prospect interacts with a business over the phone. That event can start a workflow in Pabbly Connect. The workflow can send the relevant information that we have captured from the phone call towards your CRM. It can directly notify a sales representative on your organizational space, for example Google Chat, Microsoft Teams, etc., and also create a follow-up task. So instead of salesperson remembering the update multiple times, the workflow takes care of those administrative steps automatically by itself. The next automation I would like to share is for the support team. For customer support, a phone interaction can be connected to the support process. For example, information from the interaction can be sent to appropriate business applications. A notification can be sent to the support team, and a follow-up task can be created. So basically, the objective is to make sure customer conversation leads to an organized next step every time. Here we also have another possibility for sales activity tracking. So businesses can connect phone related events with their CRM or reporting system, whichever they are using, so that the sales activity is captured automatically. This gives managers better visibility into what's happening while reducing the amount of manual data entry required for sales teams. The key point over here is not just phone automations, but to remove the errors, reduce the errors that we get while connecting everything or updating everything manually. Because every time we forget what we had in the conversation, there creates a mess. Okay, so these were the some automations that I wanted to share with different departments, and the businesses can take the use of them and make the process easy and effective.
Those are great examples, Trista. So I would like to ask this one to Rutuza. Once these workflows are active, how do they actually help businesses manage leads and, let's say, track sales activity and coordinate customer support day to day?
So it helps connect different part of the customer's journey. So for sales, automation helps create a smoother lead management process. Instead of manually checking different systems, and representative can have a customer activity captured and shared with the right tools. This will help team track customer interaction more effectively, maintain a better follow-up discipline, and spend more time focusing on the conversation rather than administrative work. And sales success is not only about having a conversation, it is also about what happens after the conversation. Automation helps make sure the next step is not to be missed. And similarly, for the support, recording and transcription can help team understand previous conversation and resolve the issue more effectively. With call recordings and AI transcription, support teams can quickly understand what was the discussed without depending only on the manual notes. And similarly, for the compliance and the operation, having communication information organized can reduce the manual coordination and documentation. Similarly, as per our my own experience from the account management, communication history can help team prepare for the next customer interaction. Instead of starting every conversation from the zero, teams can understand previous discussions and customer requirements and the pending actions. So ultimately, the goal is to make sure the information from the customer interaction reaches the right place and leads to the right next action. So the goal of automation is just not move data between systems. It is to make sure every customer interaction creates the right next step for the right team.
That was great from your end, Rutuza. So I guess now we're at almost the end of our session. So we will be doing some live Q&A, and we've had some great. Uh, let me check the questions first in the chat box. If you have some questions, then I would like our speakers to answer them. Uh, okay, we have one question here. Okay, this one's from Nick. For businesses that are new to automation, are there any common mistakes we should avoid when building uh, workflows across multiple apps? So this one's for you, Sresta.
Yes, actually, because the connection between any application using Pabbly Connect is actually very easy. There are no such errors, that no such complications that the people could get. But yes, precautions is better than cure. So if you are new to Pabbly Connect, or you are new to the business environment, if you are setting up any automation using multiple applications, make sure each application, when you want to connect, there is a help text given inside Pabbly Connect. Read it properly so that there is no error, there is no chance of error. Also, try to go one step, one by one. Also try to use one step at a time, so that you do not have to add multiple steps at the same time, and then you end up having any error. So I would suggest that if you are new to Pabbly Connect, or if you're new to the system of automation, try to start with a simple or basic workflow first, and then you can further add the events or add the action steps you want further gradually. That this will make the things better. And always read help text given, and it will actually solve 90% of the problem.
Okay, so thank you, Shrestha, for your answer, and I hope Nick got his answer. So there is another question as well. This one's from Barbara. So when businesses start automating their phone workflow, how should they identify which process to automate first for the biggest impact? So this one's for you, Rutuza.
Okay, I'll start that. So I would suggest the process. I would suggest starting with the process that are high volume and repetitive and have a clear next action. So, for example, let's take a sales team is manually updating a CRM record and creating a follow-up task after every call. So that's a good place to start because the same work is happening repetitively and there is a clear opportunity to save time. So same applies to the support where teams may spend a lot of time on the documenting conversation and in compliance where information may need to be shared between teams. I would also look at where a delay could have a bigger business impact. So for example, a missed follow-up and customer requirements not reaching the right team can potentially miss a miss opportunity. So rather than trying to automate everything at once, I would start with one repetitive process, measure the impact, and then expand automation to the workflow. So the best place to start is usually where people are doing the same task repetitively, the volume is high, and the missing that step can affect the customer or the businesses.
Um, yeah, that was great, Rituza. Thank you. I hope Barbara got his answer. So we have here another question from Pankaj. So how does KrispCall maintain idempotency and data consistency when simultaneous call events trigger asynchronous Pabbly workflows? So I guess Rutuza can answer this.
Sure. So from the KrispCall side, each communication event is treated independently with its relevant event data. So the goal is to make sure every event is processed reliably without losing an unnecessary repeated information.
Great. So I hope, Pankaj, you got your answer. Is that all that we have in here? Okay. Can you be more thorough? So this one's from Pankaj. Could you please explain a bit, Rutuza, here?
Sure, definitely. So from the KrispCall side, each communication event is treated independently with its relevant event data. So when multiple events occur simultaneously, Pabbly handles workflow execution. So for critical workflow, unique event information and the proper check helps avoid duplicate action and maintain a data consistency. So the goal is to make sure every event is processed and reliably without losing or unnecessary repeating information.
Yeah. Thank you, Rutuza. So is that did you I hope you got your okay, we have one more from Pankaj. So let me see. Could you explain where KrispCall uses event level unique identifiers, deduplication mechanisms, or sorry, I can't read this, it's hidden. Okay, or retry policies to prevent the same call event from executing multiple downstream actions.
This one is also for me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So KrispCall capture each event with its relevant data. So while duplicate prevention and retry handling depend on the integration and the workflow setup. So for critical workflows, unique event information can be used to prevent the same event from triggering duplicate actions.
Great. We hope you got your answer. And if you have more further questions, Pankaj, our team is happy to answer all of them. So we can also email you with all these answers to you, since you have if you confusions about the KrispCall, and you can always get connected with our sales and support team, and we are always happy to cater you through that. So we have one last question over here that is from Nick. So how to get discount? Okay, so from KrispCall, we have, if you have registered in in here, you can get 25% discount in KrispCall. So what you can do is, what we will do is, we're going to email you with the coupon code in your email ID, that with the email ID that you've registered, and we'll just send you the coupon code, and you can use that coupon code and purchase KrispCall, and there you can get the discount for lifetime. Okay, so even if you have not registered yet and you have directly attended it, you can always register. It will be there for today. The link is there for today in our website, and you can always get the discount. So Pankaj has one last question for you, Rutuza. How do you architect conditional workflow orchestration for high volume, multi-tenant telephony environment without compromising scalability or reliability?
Okay, thank you so much for the question, Pankaj. So at KrispCall, we would approach this with an event-driven architecture where each customer's event and workflow are processed independently. So this allows us to handle high volumes without one customer's activity affecting another. So we can then use conditional rules to route events to the right workflow. So with processing, monitoring, retries, and error handling to maintain scalability and reliability.
Great. So that was I hope Rutuza answered your question. And one last question. This one's for Shrestha from Racha, and that is, can multiple automation nodes be created in Pabbly Connect?
Yeah, I would like to answer. Yeah, sure. We can create as many action steps. We call it action in Pabbly Connect. If you're using Crisp Call and Trigger, you can have only one single trigger at a time in a single workflow, but actions could be multiple. So yes, we can every time use multiple actions for automation.
Thank you. Thank you, Shrestha. And I hope Racha got her answer. And one last question is there for, I think, Razu. So this one from Razu. So this is for Shrestha. Why should I use Pabbly instead of N10?
See, Pabbly is definitely better to use rather than N10. I would suggest. Why? Because we have multiple. Again, we have launched prompt-based automation creation, automation building. We can just simply write a single line of code. We do not have to write a single line of code in order to create an automation. We will simply write what we want to connect the application. For example, if you want to connect your Facebook lead ads with KrispCall, just simply write down in the chat box that I want to connect these applications, and entire template for the workflow is ready. And you finally just have to build the connection with your Facebook account, with your KrispCall account. Everything is done at with less than even 5 minutes. So always better to use. Why? Because things we are every time we are improving, we are deploying new changes, making things easy for the new and the beginners to use inside Pabbly Connect. Apart from this, if you want to check out the prices, you can definitely contact our sales and support team for the same, and you will get proper information about the same.
That was great. And thank you, Shrestha, for your answer. And I hope Razu got his answer too. So if you have this one's for all our audiences joining us today. If you have any further questions or anything that you'd like to know about both our products, then you can always contact our sales and support team, and they're always there to help you, and they're always there to clear all your confusions, and they will also contact you after this. So that was great session, and this has been a very useful and insightful conversation. And just to recap, we spoke about what phone automation really means, and where disconnected system tends to break down, and the benefits of bringing everything together, and exactly how to set up KrispCall and Pabbly Connect to start automating leads, sales tracking, and support workflows. So a huge thank you to you, Rutuza from KrispCall and Shrestha from Pabbly Connect, for sharing all this insightful information with us today. So, and also to all our audiences who are here with us today, thank you so much for joining. And I'm sorry. So Thank you so much for joining us today, and we are happy to have you all here with us. So see you in the next session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was a great session and everything was just informative.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.